Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to today's session. I'm Jason Gumpert from msdynamicsrole.com, and I'm pleased to be able to host this event all about B2B social marketing. Our presenter today is Brad Burks, Vice President of Sales at Clique Dimensions. It's great to have him back today. As we get started, please know that we do welcome your questions and input today during the event. You can enter those through the Q&A block. You should see to the right of the main presentation area. Enter those at any point, and Brad will be leaving time at the end of the session to take all of those. So without any further delay, I am going to hand things off to Brad to get us started.
Thanks, Jason. Really appreciate it. Well, hello to everyone that's currently on the call. I know some people are still signing in. As Jason just introed me, I'm the Vice President of Sales at Clique Dimensions and responsible for our global sales. We'll be kind of going through a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which is social marketing. Certainly, just looking at some of the names on the call, it looks like we have a mixture of people that are currently Clique Dimensions customers as well as potential Clique Dimensions customers. And so I'm hopeful that the content that we'll be going over will really hit home whether or not you are currently working with Clique Dimensions or working with a completely different marketing automation solution. So the topic today, as you probably have already seen, is B2B social marketing. And so kind of wanted to go through a little bit of an agenda to set the stage. Basically, we're going to just do a little bit of PowerPoint just to kind of go through the first part of the agenda, but the bulk of the time we'll be going through a live environment of our new social engagement solution. So we're going to start off with an intro into Clique Dimensions, and we'll discuss why social is so important. If it's not already something that's in your toolkit as far as things that you're doing, you definitely need to be doing those. We'll also be talking why B2B social marketing is different, and going over kind of an overview of the tools, and then, as I mentioned, we'll go through the live environment. As Jason mentioned, we definitely encourage as many questions as possible. We'll be saving about 10 minutes toward the end to address those questions that you have. So please feel free to send those over as we go through. So let's just jump right into it. For those of you that are not familiar with Clique Dimensions is the leading email marketing and marketing automation solution for Dynamics 365. We've been around since, I guess, 2010, so we've been around for about 7 years, and our product has been growing and adapting over those years. Currently, our feature set looks like this. So we have a kind of a mixture of marketing execution features like email marketing, campaign automation, SMS messaging, event management, surveys, etc. Social marketing, as you can see, is one of those key core competencies that we have. And our real kind of claim to fame is that all of the marketing functionality resides right inside of Dynamics 365. So what that means is all of this rich data that you're getting from your marketing is going right back into your CRM so that your sales folks, your operations folks, your executives all can see the results of the marketing and how it's influencing revenue. So that's, in a nutshell, kind of what we're providing to our clients today. Why Clique Dimensions? Obviously, I mentioned we're fully native. In addition to being fully native, we're also fully supported. So we have our clients receive full service support 24/7, everything from onboarding to training to continuing education. So that's a big component of why we feel like we're differentiated in the market. And then we're fully committed to Microsoft Dynamics. So whether you're using Dynamics 365 or you're using an older version like, say, 2011, whether you're on-premise or you're in the cloud, our product is designed to work with all versions of Dynamics. And so we have a unique perspective as we're marketing automation experts, but we also are experts in Dynamics. So that puts us in kind of a unique category. All right, so let's jump into kind of why social. And so if you're already on this call and you've obviously signed up, I'm going to assume that you're already doing some social marketing or you're planning on doing that. And so kudos to everyone on the call for taking the time out of your busy schedule to educate yourself on some of the social categories that are out there. So as we all know, social is not going away. If anything, it's growing month after month, year after year. I've been around in the marketing industry long enough to remember when social was kind of considered more of a fad and it really wouldn't take off, especially not with B2B companies. That's not obviously proven to be true. So we have 2.8 billion folks, people worldwide that are active on social media. So that's pulled from some recent study, and I believe it's based off of monthly active users. So billions of people are using social for a variety of things, not just liking their friends' photos, but actually making business decisions and purchasing decisions through there. More than a third of the internet users that were surveyed recently admitted that they go to social media when looking for information about a product that they're looking at or a brand that they're considering to work with. So that is growing, and I expect by over the next few years that'll end up being 2/3, and so that's definitely a growing trend. Many of you probably are in that 33% currently that are doing that. 67% of consumers have used a company's social media site to communicate with that company at some point. So whether it's customer service or you're engaging with sales or you're asking questions, it's really becoming a very important channel for all types of businesses. Some of the benefits at a high level of social marketing, certainly we've always known, and social really took off as kind of a way to get your brand awareness, and that's still a very effective way to get leads into your system, to get loyalty from around your brand, to establish what are your differentiations. Obviously, increasing traffic to your website where you probably have created content, hopefully, and you're driving people there to hopefully get engaged with your sales team. As we know, we've heard this stat for feels like about 5 years that customers are anywhere between 50 and 90% through their decision-making process before they even engage with sales. So by being able to drive people to your website, that increases the chance that your messaging is going to influence them prior to reaching out to your sales folks. Customer insights, of course, understanding and listening to what your customers are saying about your company is very important. Improving the customer experience, so not having to wait on the phone to call someone, not having to wait for 24 hours for someone to respond to your email or your inquiry. Being able to engage, whether it be through chat through a website, which is very popular, but also social, as I mentioned before, is definitely a way to do that. Lead generation and sales. This is one area that is kind of a moving target, and we're going to be talking a lot about as a B2B business. Lead generation and sales is probably the highest priority of all marketing, but specifically social marketing. And there's some challenges around that we'll be talking about. Omni-channel campaigns, this is definitely the idea that you want to be able to see that journey and understand and get your messaging out wherever your clients are. So whether they're on your website, whether they are obviously on their social forums or email, phone, all of that. You really want to bring it together so there's consistency in your brand and your messaging. So those are some of the benefits. So clearly social is an area that we all have to be considering to invest in. As a B2B company, and there's probably several people that are on this call that are also B2C, and so just know that although this topic is around B2B, we are going to be talking a lot about B2C, and as we go into the live environment, there's a lot of applicable areas. Certainly there are B2C companies that are looking to drive ROI out of their social, and so hopefully this will resonate as well. But B2B is different, and one of the things that is different about B2B is obviously the channels that they're using, and we'll take a look at that here on the next slide. But one of the common misconceptions is that only B2C companies like Coca-Cola or Delta or these big brands are the ones that are driving the use cases of social. That is not exactly accurate. In fact, the stats really show that when it comes to content, B2B marketers are definitely outpacing B2C companies in content that they're producing. 81% of marketers of B2B companies have integrated social media as a part of their traditional marketing activities. So in addition to their email campaigns or events that they're doing, they've integrated social there, which is maybe higher than what some people might have considered a couple years ago. 93% of B2B marketers say that they use social media as their content marketing content marketing tactic. So in other words, they have some content. We know content is currency or content is king or all of these things that we've heard over the last few years, and it's still very accurate. If you can drive people to your website and provide them content, they will provide you their information, and that's a good way to engage sales on those leads. So, but a lot of the 93% of B2B marketers are saying that when they create this content, they're actually putting it out on social right away. So they're not just hoping that someone finds them through SEO or those things. They're actually trying to drive people there. So social platforms, this is kind of the B2B versus B2C world, but some of the percentages are really interesting. As you can see, certain areas, as you would expect, like Instagram, for example, is still primarily being leveraged for B2C companies, but 33% may be a little bit higher than one might assume. But when you look at Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, you can see that Facebook and Twitter are very close. In the case with Twitter, B2B companies are actually tweeting more and using it a little bit more corporately than B2C. Now, certainly B2C companies probably have more followers on Twitter or Facebook or in social, but the use case is there 80% to 75%. LinkedIn, as you would expect, if you're a B2B marketer, you're really trying to market to the consumers, maybe C-level executives at the groups that you're trying to target. So not surprised there. LinkedIn's not as heavily used for B2C. YouTube is essentially a dead heat. Google Plus, B2B is utilizing that a little bit more. So what we can see here is that B2B marketers are definitely using social, and they're using it in some cases even at a higher percentage than traditional B2C companies. So this really provides a lot of challenges because, as I mentioned before, there are some blind spots in traditional social marketing where a B2B marketer is not getting the visibility into ROI that they need to. So when we look at all of this investment, we know that it is different because B2B marketers are generally dealing with some projections around ROI, lead attribution, pipeline contribution. Things like shares, likes, and retweets and followers are not as important to B2B marketers as they would be to, say, a B2C brand manager. The reason being is that a lot of those are what we would consider vanity metrics. So certainly it makes you feel great about your content when you get lots of likes or retweets. Even comments are great. But if they're not actually progressing from a like to actual revenue, it's going to be hard to get funding for that next social campaign when you go to your CEO or CFO trying to get more budget for more social. So that's one of the major blind spots that we really strive to provide. So we have numerous tools around social marketing, and I'll be showing these to you in the live environment. But before I actually go in there, I want to go ahead and kind of give you a lay of the land. So Clique Dimensions has long had social functionality around social sharing through email and social link clicking. We also have recently added the ability to do social posting from within Dynamics. And then most recently, we have partnered with a B2B social, the leading B2B social platform called Octopus. And we rolled out our integration and a new module called Clique Dimensions Social Engagement, which is what we'll be showing you here in a moment. So Octopus, of course, as I mentioned, is the leading B2B social platform, and it was really a perfect partnership as a high percentage of Dynamics 365 customers would categorize themselves as B2B. That being said, like I said before, we have 20% of our customers are B2C customers as well, and they're able to leverage this functionality to accomplish their goals as well. So we're going to jump into the live environment at this point, but I did want to at least kind of go through the idea that you're going to have the ability to do social posting, social listening, social campaign tracking, and social advocacy, which we'll be going through here over these next, we'll say next 25 to 30 minutes. So let me go ahead and jump on into the live environment, and then we will go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And all right, here we go. And let me just make sure we get this fit in here. And so I'm going to go ahead and kind of show you where we're at here. But let me go ahead and go into a social record here. And so let me go ahead and show you really quickly before we get too deep into it. We're in Dynamics 365. This is the online version. As I mentioned before, if you are on an older version of Dynamics, many of the features that we'll be covering today are available, but some of them are only available for Dynamics 365. So we're happy to help you if you're using an older version, because some of the functionality will be available and some of it may require an upgrade. So as you can see under the marketing section, all these green icons are the Clique Dimensions icons, and this is or entities as Microsoft would call them. And so this is where a marketer would log into Dynamics 365 and begin planning and creating their marketing campaigns and executing them, and then of course tracking them back. Since we're focused on social today, I'm going to go into the mobile and social section here and go to social posts. And so under social posts, this is where I would be able to go in and schedule and publish social posts right within Dynamics 365. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a campaign here, an example here called Inspire 2017 Test. This was an event that we did this past summer. And so one of the areas where Clique Dimensions has really invested in is in the social area in the last year or so. We've really tried to identify what our customers wanted to do, and one of the number one things they wanted to do was be able to actually schedule a post right within Dynamics. So if you're using Dynamics 365 and you're on our standard package or higher, this is functionality you should have in your Clique Dimensions instance today. So once you're in there, you'll notice we have the owner. I've given it a name. I have the campaign. This is a Dynamics campaign. So this is the Dynamics campaign really is something that touches the opportunity records for revenue. It obviously touches all of the Clique Dimensions records. It really is the kind of the glue that helps you keep all of your marketing content and all of your marketing efforts tied into one area so that you can measure ROI at the campaign level. So I've got a campaign here, and we'll go into that shortly. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit click post here, and that's going to open up this window where I can now go ahead and start preparing my content for social. So in this case, I might want to go ahead and type in some text. Please come to our booth at Inspire, pardon me, I could type here, Inspire, okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and I can, of course, toggle between which social network I want to use. So I can post to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Google+. I can also have multiple profiles. So, for example, I want to click to my corporate page, but I also have the ability to manage my CEO. I can go ahead and select which profile I want to post to in case you have multiple brands or multiple profiles that you're doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the button here to go ahead and add in a file here. And notice I can go ahead and add things in from OneDrive or from Dropbox or different Facebook, etc. Or I can choose a local file on my website, on my desktop. So let me go ahead and choose this image. I can post images. I can also post video. And so in this case, I have this set up, and now I can schedule, do I want to post this now or at a later date and time? And let me close that. And let's go and just say post it now here. So by hitting share now, what that's going to do is that's going to go ahead and post that out. And then all of the results, as far as people that engage, will come back into Dynamics. So I can see it at the campaign level. And what will happen is I'll be able to see people that are driving back to my website. And if I have a call to action form, for example, where they can say register for my event, etc., that will actually track as a conversion at the campaign level as well. And so we're allowing marketers to be able to post out from right within Dynamics and then, of course, measure those results right back in Dynamics. And so that's going to allow a salesperson to be able to reference all of that information there. So being able to post that out, schedule it, post it maybe in advance, and then go ahead and track this at the campaign level. So at the campaign level, now I'm going to be able to go in and look at all of my social clicks, all of my conversions, and then I'm going to be able to even see that at the customer level as well. So if they've converted and they filled out a form, similar to someone coming in and posting a form on your website, it's going to create either a lead or a contact for that person, and then track that source as being social, but also I'll be able to see which tweet that came from. So this is really kind of standard technology that's in our standard package and higher today, and this is a way to really track and generate social there. As I mentioned before, we've also added a new module called the Social Engagement module. So in addition to being able to track that in Dynamics, and have salespeople and people hours the data as they look at social media. I want to see more analytics from and
Hey, Brad, I think we might be losing your audio.
all right, can you hear me now, Jason?
Yes, you're back. Welcome back.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Well, let's go ahead and continue. And my apologies for everyone if I was talking and you couldn't hear me. Essentially, what I was saying is that we've now added a module to the Clique Dimensions suite called Social Engagement. And so for those of you on this call that are social media managers or you're in charge of social, this is going to give you the end-to-end social functionality that you would typically expect to get in a third-party solution. Now you're able to actually get it as a part of your Clique Dimensions solution. You can go ahead and add this module to it. And so I'm going to give you a tour because this is going to give you far more analytics as far as visibility into your social traffic, but also it's going to allow you to do a lot more than just posting. So you're going to be able to do social listening, social advocacy, you're going to be able to do content curation. And so let me go ahead and give you a little walkthrough of this solution. So what we're seeing here is our social dashboard. And so essentially you can log in here, even if it's in this case, you've generated the post and scheduled it from within Dynamics. You can go ahead and see all of your Dynamics campaigns right inside of here. So when you create a campaign and generate a post, you'll actually be able to see that CRM campaign right inside of here. And so you can go ahead and track it even a little bit closer here. So at the campaign level, I'm going to be able to go in and see a lot of information as far as what's going on, as far as how I'm driving people to the site. But in some cases, I am going to want to look at those other metrics and also see a calendar as far as how I've scheduled my post to go out. So you'll remember in the case with in Dynamics, I was able to go ahead and schedule a post. And so as I schedule those will go ahead and appear on this calendar. But I can also create new posts in here as well and still track the data back into the Clique data back into Dynamics. So whether I'm in Dynamics generating my posts or I'm in here generating my posts, it's all going to come back into the Clique Dimensions data fields in Dynamics. So I'll be able to see that. But knowing that social media is a lot more than posting at this stage, this is where this module really comes in. So notice I can go in and I can actually click on these and I can actually drill in and view a report around just this post. I can go in and manage my assets, and I can also go in and look at the analytics around just this campaign. We'll go into more analytics here in a second, but I want to go ahead and at least give you an idea as far as some of the data points that you can see at the campaign level. So in this case, I'm just going to go in here and see that we have a lot of posts in here. I can filter these views. I can go ahead and see the conversions again in here. And then if I have revenue tied to that, I'm going to be able to see the ROI. And this is significant because certainly being able to see the ROI in Dynamics is something you're not going to be able to do with a traditional social media tool. But we're also accounting for ROI inside of this module as well, provided that you've closed some revenue from these. So being able to go in and see your most popular posts, seeing what networks are going on, certainly you have the ability to look and drill in very granular, and you can also export this into a PDF. So at a campaign level, we're giving you the perfect blend of social reporting as well as social ROI tracking, where you're able to track that back into Dynamics. So if you want to incorporate that as a part of a larger, say, event campaign that you're doing, being able to see all of the event posts that you have scheduled and seeing how they're performing is really important. So some of the things that you're going to be able to do through the analytics is being able to go in and actually see how many posts that you've done, how many total impressions, the number of clicks, and eventually this funnel math that we really want to see. And these conversions are going to be listed in Dynamics, which we'll be showing a little bit later. So I can track those conversions here as well as inside of the Dynamics, which is the most important thing. So I can go in and track my engagement. So this is showing me some of those vanity metrics can be very important. Certainly being able to see the likes and clicks and comments are great, and being able to filter this by date ranges, pull this into PDF, going in and seeing which networks are driving the most. Not surprisingly for us, LinkedIn is driving the most engagement. And for the most part, a lot of the engagement is driven by our organic posts, ones that are posted just from our corporate site. But notice this one here, and this is something you're not going to see with most other social tools, is advocacy engagement. So this is an area where we'll show this a little bit later, where I can see the impressions that are being generated by my social advocates. Being able to see what time of day that you're getting the most bang for your buck is great. So being able to look at this bubble chart and see, for example, Fridays, ironically, are actually pretty good days, especially before noon, around 11 a.m. Eastern. We have done 26 total posts and over 265 engagements, which is great. So the darker the green, of course, and the larger the bubble, the perfect time. So this really is something that is going to give you more visibility into when to schedule your posts to get the best, most interactions. So, of course, being able to go in and see the most engaging post, being able to see the followers that you're generating, being able to look at your audience as a whole and say, what are people using and how are my followers, what's the trend? So we've added 331 new followers over the last month, and so that's good information to have. Being able to see what networks these followers are using. We actually are adding some people through Instagram, which is interesting. Seeing the mentions, this comes back to the listening part, which we'll be going into. And then being able to see demographics and firmographics as far as where people are, what operating system they're using, what devices they're using, browsers, being able to go in and look at that. You're being able to see that level of analytics. Being able to go in and measure the content. This is great information. We'll be in Curation next, how we help you generate content to post out. Being able to go in and see the converting links, the most popular one, but this is one of my favorites here, which is the content analysis, which is showing which keywords, similar to our bubble chart, the larger the word, how it's influencing interactions. And so it's basically using machine learning to go through and look at all of our posts, and based on the common words, which words seem to drive the most interactions. Not surprisingly, Clique Dimensions is the most common word in all of our clicks, or our tweets rather. So being able to go in and see, of course, all of the engagement at the message level is great. Being able to see, of course, the high level information as far as, okay, I can see that how do images clicks, we get a lot of likes on our images and a lot of clicks, where we've only posted 2 videos and we haven't generated a lot, only 1.5 engagements per our post, where on images we're getting 5.1 engagements per post, which is interesting information. Advocacy is something we'll be saving for toward the end, but this is the one of the key functions that we're providing. Normally you would have a point solution for doing social advocacy. So let's go into, actually let's go into content curation first, and then we'll go into social listening. So certainly as a B2B marketer, you have lots of content, but you need to stay out in front of in front of your market, and your competitors are probably posting a lot on social as well. And so this gives you the ability to do content curation, where you can go in and determine, what are some of the topics that your audience might be interested in. So Dynamics 365 is one that inevitably our audience would be interested in. Interestingly, they found one of our posts on there, but we can also see that there's several others, including dynamicsworld.com. We're very love to go ahead and share their content as well. So all I have to do is click on this content, and it automatically sets it up to go ahead and retweet and does a shortcut of it. I can add my own little verbiage to this, and similar to posting the rest of the information, I can go ahead and share this out now, schedule it later, but I can also copy it to my advocacy board, meaning this is something I want to share with my advocates that are usually employees or thought leaders, people that have agreed to be a social advocate for you. So I can go ahead and post out content. We can also set up a Feedly account if there's additional information. I want to connect Feedly stream to be able to find content there, but I can also go ahead and go through. So if I just want some generic information on marketing automation, I might want to go ahead and use that to find some stuff from, for example, Martech Zone. Might want to use that about e-commerce. Maybe my followers would be interested in that. So we give you the ability to set up content. One thing I did want to go ahead and state clearly is that we do have role-based security in the Clique Dimensions tool, including the social engagement tool. So if there's people within your organization that you want to be able to post, but not generate those, you can make them advocates, or you can restrict their access to any part of this tool. So you don't have to have someone have full access to do everything in here that I'm doing right now. Let's go ahead and look at streams. And so streams are great. This is the social listening portion. So I went ahead and set up some feeds here that I'm listening to. So some of them are on Facebook, Twitter. I can go in and add more of these feeds. Notice here I can see that this particular event was posted out, and so I can see that I was tagged in there, etc. So I'm listening to anything where our word is mentioned. Now, if for some reason this is a negative, something where I want to go ahead and engage someone, I can go ahead, if I'm managing this, and assign this to someone to follow up on. I can also do auto assignment as well through workflow as a part of like customer care. In this case, I've went ahead and listening to anyone that has hashtag around Clique Dimensions, and I can go through here and scroll over. I can add as many of these feeds as I want, but I can also add these pages where I can go ahead. So for example, I'm also following Microsoft's various handles. So I want to know what's going on here, and I want to be tracking this and making sure that this is something that's important that I want to send out. I can go ahead and send it out, and I can also retweet it, like it, engage from a corporate standpoint to any of this content. I also have it set up for some of our channel partners, our Dynamics partners, to see what they're doing. So each user can have unlimited numbers of these streams that they're listening to, and as I mentioned before, you can set these up to be monitored, and those monitors would then show up in your inbox here, where you can see all of the responses and comments to all of the posts, and so you can go in and see, manage your inbox so that there's no clutter as far as stuff that maybe just out there in the social world. You can start seeing things that are being responded to posts that you post, or things being posted directly at cliquedimensions.com or at Clique Dimensions Twitter handle or Facebook page. So this gives you, as a social user, the ability to track in real time that information. So social listening, of course, is a big component of the tool. Being able to go in and do beyond that, obviously we looked at the analytics, but I wanted to go into the social advocacy portion because it is a significant portion of the tool, and it's a big differentiator, and it really kind of helps with the B2B marketer, which is what we're talking about here. So a B2B marketer, as I mentioned before, may not have as many, likely doesn't have as many followers on their corporate handle as, say, a B2C brand would, like a Coca-Cola, for example, where they probably have millions of followers. So how does a B2B marketer get their followers up so that they can expand their audience? You've worked painstakingly to create this content. That content is very valuable, and it's the key to your revenue growth. But how do you get it out to a larger audience? And so the answer is you can do social ads, which can be extremely expensive, but you can also utilize something like social advocacy. And this is where you go ahead and enable, in most cases, you can enable people that are employees, or in our case, we have a group of advocates that are Clique Dimensions partners, but we'll go into the advocates that are employees. So this is our Clique Dimensions internal advocacy board, and so I, as a social marketer, can go ahead and invite advocates, and then I can see which of their social profiles they've linked to our advocacy board. And so what that's going to allow me to do is all of these advocates, if they go ahead and I provide marketing approved tweets or Facebook posts or LinkedIn posts, I can now go ahead and put this in one area on this board, a shared board, where those users, employees, can go ahead and post out to their followers, which essentially adds like a giant megaphone to your audience. So maybe your corporate handle has 20,000 followers, which is your audience that you're being able to market to socially. But you may have 500 salespeople or 35 salespeople, and between the 35 of those, they have 50,000 followers that are out on their social sites. So now you've basically been able to take that content and share it out. So I'm going to go ahead and play the role of a marketer. And so in the case with a marketer, as I mentioned before, I can look at my content. I can go ahead and share that out to my my team. And so in this case, let me go ahead and go into one of my campaigns. And so we have a best practices campaign here. And so I can go into my message assets and say, you know what, this particular webinar that we just did, I want to make sure that my my team is able to go ahead and post that out. So what I can do is check the box here and go ahead and export this to or copy to the board. So in other words, I can go ahead and add this to whichever board that I want. And I can choose between CD Partners or Social Clique and do that. Now, as a marketer, I've put this out on the board, and now an advocate gets alerted, and they can go to the board. And at this point, this is, as an advocate, what I can see. So as an advocate, I can go in and see all of the marketing approved posts that are out there that I can go ahead and share on my social networks that I have linked. And I can filter this by network, or I can filter this by topics if you have topics. So in this case, I'm looking at marketing best practices, and I'm looking to post out to LinkedIn, for example. So here I have this piece of content about 5 ways to humanize your marketing. And now I can share this out and add my own comment. I can go ahead and post this later or post it now. But now I can go ahead, I didn't create this content, but now I'm going to share it. And so what's going to happen is now a marketer is going to be able to see within the social engagement tool that I posted this out, I'm also going to be able to see in Dynamics that if anyone engages with this post of mine, I'll be able to see that in Dynamics. And then as an advocate, I'm competitive. I can see a leaderboard here and see how I stack rank with other people as far as posts that I've posted out and shared. So you have this kind of gamification area to reward and acknowledge your advocates that are posting the most and sharing the most. So now if I jump back into the social engagement tool, I can go back into my analytics here, and I have this advocacy tab where I can go and see all of the impressions that were generated and who my most active advocates are. And so in this case, we can see that of the posts that our advocates have posted out, we've now increased our potential reach to 120,000 followers on social network, which is 250% higher than our reach without advocacy. This is far less expensive and a lot more effective than just buying a social ad and hoping that someone clicks on it. So this is kind of the missing piece that B2B marketers are really needing, is being able to create content and find content is a challenge. Being able to track the ROI of the leads that are coming in is a challenge, but also being able to find creative ways to expand your reach, your audience, to try to get more ROI. That's another key area where our solution is providing an answer there. So let me go ahead and wrap this up by going back into CRM. We're at the campaign level, so I went ahead and set up a dashboard here, which I just call my social engagement dashboard. And so as a CRM user, I want to be able to see, maybe I don't have access to the full social engagement solution, but now I can go in here and see all of the social clicks that are being generated, and most importantly, these social conversions. And so these are people that have came from our social a social post to our website and filled out a form. So they've essentially converted either to a lead or a contact, whichever you prefer. So in this case, I can go ahead and open this particular conversion up here, and I'm going to be able to see the URL, and notice I can see the campaign all in this particular URL. We carry over the post that they've responded to, who the original poster was here, as well as some of the additional unique identifiers as far as campaign. It was on LinkedIn was the source, and so I can now query off of this URL field if, for example, I want to see my post from or my conversions from LinkedIn versus my conversions from Twitter, for example. So being able to see this here at this granular level is great, but then also if I was to pop over into Nicole's record and I'm just a sales rep, I can now go into her record and see all of those social clicks, just like I can see that she clicked on an email, or she visited our website, or she filled out a form, or she answered a survey. All of this rich data comes back into CRM in real time, so that way your salespeople are able to close more revenue a lot faster, shorter sales cycles, higher user adoption, and just an overall omni-channel view as far as from web to social to events to phone activities. All of those activities are all connected here for that 360-degree view. So that's the end of my live demo, but I'm going to go ahead and do a short little plug about a new ebook that we just launched over the summer, which is called B2B Social Success, or Social Media Success for B2B Marketers. This is absolutely free if you go to cliquedimensions.com /B2B social ebook, or you can just go to cliquedimensions.com, click on resources, and there's an ebook section there. It's a very short read, but chock full of statistics and strategies that can make you an even more effective B2B marketer today. So, all right. So just ask Jason if we have any questions that have come through.
Hey, Brad, we do have some questions that have come through, and if you're in the audience and you have a question, please do enter it into the Q&A now, and we'll get to all of those as we move ahead here. So let me pull up the first one. So the first question is just asking, is there a short answer or maybe a one-pager document out there comparing what the Clique Dimensions social engagement offering with Octopus provides versus what Microsoft Social, apologies, I'm sort of losing my screen here, what Microsoft Dynamics 365 social engagement offers?
Yeah, so we do have some documentation on our social engagement solution as it compares to other social tools that are out there. For example, Hootsuite is a very popular one, but as you mentioned in particular, Microsoft has their own social engagement solution. But I will say at a high level, there's not a ton of overlap between MSE, which is Microsoft Social Engagement, and the Clique Dimensions Social Engagement. Some of the areas are obvious as far as social listening. There's definitely some overlap there. But one of the things that we're very focused on is making it easy to post out and manage a calendar of your social activity and tying that back into opportunity records inside Dynamics and also the social advocacy. All of those are areas that are pretty unique about what we're providing, where social engagement, Microsoft Social Engagement, is really at this point well optimized for customer care. So, for example, listening to us doing social listening and creating support tickets or tasks out of there, that is one area where I would say that a use case. So we can envision where companies might use MSE for their customer care portion, and then still using Clique Dimensions Social Engagement for more of the lead gen, top of the funnel stuff.
Okay, next question. Are clicks and shares of posts retraceable to the contact or lead level for use in lead scoring, for example?
Yeah, so right now you can do lead scoring on those social clicks. They basically come in into Dynamics similar to a page view, meaning that they'll come in as anonymous unless they click on or fill out a form on that page or on a subsequent visit, and that would connect their social click to their contact or lead record. If they're new, it'll create a new lead record. So it's very important. In order to get conversions, you're going to need that call to action from any of the campaigns that you do through social. And so that's really kind of the glue that connects it. Obviously, the campaign level is very important as well. But as long as you have call to action forms, you'll be able to identify those conversions at the contact record level.
Okay, another question on the Octopus add-on. Are there any other bigger benefits? And I guess another question was how it's paid for. Do you have to buy a separate user license for that product first?
Okay, yeah. So as far as the pricing, part of the functionality I showed today is just part of the Clique Dimensions subscription, and that's the posting, certainly all the tracking as far as the social conversions and clicks. All of that is included in our standard package and higher today. So that's built into our current service packages. However, the external social module, that is an additional charge. And we have two packages depending on the number of users that you want to have access to that, as well as the features that you need. So the pricing starts at $250 a month for kind of our entry-level package, and our highest package is $600 per month. This pricing is out on our website, so you're more than welcome to take a look at that. But you don't require another CRM user license, but we do limit the number of users to have access to the social engagement tool if you were to add that. So that's part of that pricing that we have on our website.
Okay, one person would like to know where do you find that social engagement dashboard that you were demoing?
So the one that was in Dynamics, I would assume, is a just a custom dashboard that I've added. So because all the data is in CRM, this dashboard, I think, is the social engagement dashboard. This is just one that I generated.
Yep, and we're not seeing that right now.
Oh, pardon me, I'm showing the wrong screen. So this social engagement dashboard here is just a regular Dynamics dashboard, and I just set this up for the purposes of this demo. But the dashboard that's actually in the standalone tool, this is out of the box, and this is basically, this dashboard here is a part of that package. So depending on which dashboard they were referring to, those are the two dashboards I showed today.
Okay, next question, how is auto-assign possible on your incoming posts in the stream? Is social engagement able to determine the sentiment of a post on it by itself?
Yeah, so we do have some sentiment tracking, and we do have the assignment area inside of the post. So inside of here, you have an assignments area. You also have your profiles. You can also go into, pardon me, let me make this full screen. You can go in here and set up some of the rules around those. But I would say that is an area where MSE, the Microsoft Social Engagement Tool, does have some sentiment tracking in that tool as well as the ability to create support tickets inside of Dynamics, and so that's obviously another option for that as well.
When posting something in Clique Dimensions, how does it, does it show what the post will look like before I schedule it? I use Hootsuite now, and sometimes when I put a picture onto a post, it unexpectedly crops the picture and I have to go redo it.
So certainly we do actually provide a little example, as you probably saw in the demo. But what I would say is that, to my knowledge, it's all responsive. So it's not going to crop it beyond what the preview is already cropped. So you do have the ability to see it, but I would say that there's always a risk depending on the image and the social platform that you're posting to, because each social network has different types of limits. It certainly doesn't hurt to do a test before you do that, but the preview that we show is generally an accurate depiction of what that post is going to look like.
Is it possible to send a campaign through multiple channels or only one at a time?
So yeah, so you have to send them one at a time, and the reason being is that, as I mentioned before, there are limitations. Each social network has a different API and has different character limits, image limits. So it's not possible to create at this point a universal post that would work for Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn all at the same time. So you do have to post those individually.
Okay, one last question is asking whether your solution has to run on top of Dynamics CRM, Dynamics 365.
Yeah, so the Clique Dimensions solution is not a standalone solution, so it has to it has to actually, there has to be a Dynamics instance in order for it to operate. And the social engagement tool is also tied to that Clique Dimensions instance, because that's where it's pushing the data back into Dynamics. So you need Dynamics to use any of the tools that I showed today. Certainly our partner in social, Octopus, does have a standalone version that's a little bit different than, that's very similar to what I showed today. But that is a standalone product by itself, Octopus.
All right, well, that gets us through the question list. Thank you, everyone, for the great questions and for your attention today. I want to remind you we do have a quick survey that will pop up after you close out today. Any feedback you can provide is greatly appreciated by us and by our presenters as well. Well, Brad, thanks again for taking the time to present and to answer so many questions today.
Well, thanks so much. We really appreciate the opportunity, and we welcome your feedback on content that you would like us to provide in maybe future webinars. So thanks so much.
All right, and with that, we will conclude today's event. Have a great day, everybody.
Take care.